Chapter 2. Trouble Brewing. The next morning dawned pale and grey, the kind of English light that made everything look older than it was. Sarah and Jonathan left Little Washford after breakfast, hired the same taxi from the station, and rode in uneasy silence through winding country lanes. When Ashbourne Manor came into view again, the driver slowed without being asked. Even in daylight, the house looked half asleep. Its stonework weathered, its windows dark, its chimneys standing like sentries against the sky. The taxi crunched up the gravel drive and rolled to a stop before the massive oak doors. No lights, no cars, no sign of life. Jonathan paid the fare, the driver tipped his cap, and then they were alone. Sarah hesitated only a moment before saying,
"This is it."
They pushed the heavy door, which groaned on its hinges, and stepped inside. The air hit them first. Cold, stale, thick with dust and something faintly metallic, as though time itself had oxidized. Cobwebs clung to banisters and crown moldings, and white sheets, stiff with age, draped sofas and chairs like shrouds over old ghosts.
"Wow,"
Jonathan whispered.
"this place is something."
They took a few cautious steps deeper. Their footsteps echoed in the foyer, disturbing a dozen years of silence. From the shadows of the hall, something crashed. Jonathan spun, heart pounding, and shouted,
"Sarah, company."
Sarah turned, half expecting an intruder, and instead found a man standing in the doorway. A full beard, weathered face, flannel shirt under a thick coat, and a break-action shotgun held loosely at his side.
"Bloody hell."
Jonathan breathed. Sarah swallowed hard, then forced calm into her voice.
"You must be Miles, the caretaker."
The man blinked but didn't lower the gun right away. When he spoke, his Scottish accent filled the hall like a warning.
"Aye, I be him, and who might you be?"
"I'm Sarah. This is my husband, Jonathan."
Jonathan lifted a hand in an awkward half-wave. Sarah continued.
"The solicitors said you'd be here. We're the new owners."
Miles stared for a beat, sizing them up, then tucked the shotgun beneath his arm with surprising ease.
"Apologies, miss. You can't be too careful these days. Folks hear about empty houses, and the wrong sort come poking about."
Sarah let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding.
"Understandable."
Miles nodded once, formal, restrained, and stepped past them into the foyer proper.
"Well then,"
he said, clearing his throat.
"since you're here, I suppose I best give you a look round."
Miles led them down the long central corridor, his boots disturbing dust that spiraled in the shafted light from high windows.
"This here's the foyer. Leads to the drawing room on your right, used for guests and entertainments."
He pushed open a door, revealing a long room with tall windows, their curtains drawn tight. Furniture lay beneath sheets, and an upright piano sat against the wall, silent as a tomb.
"On your left's the study. Master of the house spent his days in there, papers and such."
They peered inside. Bookshelves covered 3 walls, sagging under the weight of old volumes. A globe stood in one corner, its colors faded. A desk sat beneath the window, blotter still in place, as though waiting for someone to resume work, abandoned decades ago. Miles moved them on.
"Through there's dining, kitchens, servants' stairs, bedrooms up top, attic above that."
As they walked, Sarah trailed her fingers along the banister, feeling grooves worn smooth by countless hands. Something tugged at her. Memory without memory. A pull toward rooms she'd never seen before but somehow recognized. In the back of the house, Miles paused at a heavy door.
"Now this,"
he said, voice dropping,
"was the butler's pantry. Fellow kept the whole place running from here. Whitlock, his name was."
He opened it. Inside lay shelves of tarnished silverware, empty decanters, and ledgers stacked like forgotten gravestones. Sarah wandered in, unable to help herself. She scanned the shelves, the drawers, the ledgers. One cabinet door stood slightly ajar. She pulled it open. Inside, beneath a yellowed linen cloth, lay a slim, leather-bound book. No dust on it. No mold. Just a dark little rectangle hidden as though someone wanted it found, or wanted it forgotten. Sarah glanced once at Jonathan and Miles, still talking near the pantry door, then slid the book into her bag without a sound. Miles clapped his hands together, startling them both.
Right, that's the main floor. There's more, but it'll keep.
Sarah nodded quickly, the weight of the hidden journal pressing against her side. Miles walked them back to the massive front doors.
I'll be round most days, tending the grounds, keeping folks out who've no business being here. Manor's yours now, but she's a wild old thing. Takes time to settle.
Sarah offered her hand.
Thank you, Miles.
He took it, nodded once, and slung the shotgun over his shoulder.
Good luck to you both. You'll need it.
Then he disappeared around the side of the house, leaving them in silence. Jonathan waited until he was fully out of earshot before whispering.
Did that man just threaten us?
Not exactly.
Sarah murmured, staring up at the weathered stone.
More like warned us.
What about?
Sarah didn't answer. She just tightened her grip on her bag, feeling the strange little book inside, and whispered to herself.
Trouble brewing.
That evening, Sarah and Jonathan made their way down to the village pub. The place was warm and low-ceilinged, with dark beams overhead, and the smell of ale, wood smoke, and something fried lingering in the air. Conversation hummed along comfortably until the door opened. They stepped inside, and the sound thinned. Not stopped outright. Just noticed. A handful of patrons glanced up from their pints. Too long, too curious. Strangers were uncommon here, and Americans rarer still. Sarah felt it immediately. The quiet appraisal, the way eyes measured them and filed them away. She found a small table near the wall and slipped into a chair, setting her bag at her feet. Jonathan headed for the bar. Behind it stood an older woman with iron-grey hair pulled tight into a bun, sleeves rolled up, polishing a glass that was already clean. She looked up as Jonathan approached.
What'll it be?
A pint, please? And a glass of red wine.
She poured without comment, but when he spoke again, the accent gave him away.
Busy night?
He added, trying for casual. The woman paused just slightly.
You're not from around here.
No.
Jonathan said easily.
California.
Her eyes flicked up to his face.
What brings you to Kent?
He smiled, the way people do when they think they have an interesting answer.
We've inherited Ashbourne Manor.
The glass in her hand stopped mid-wipe. The color drained from her face so quickly it was almost theatrical. Around them, conversation fell away. Not abruptly, but in ripples. Chairs stopped creaking. A dart clattered to the floor somewhere behind them.
I beg your pardon.
The bartender said carefully.
Did you say Ashbourne Manor?
Yes.
Jonathan replied.
My wife's family. She's related.
From their table, Sarah looked up. Every eye in the pub was now on them.
That place is cursed.
A voice muttered from the far end of the bar.
Aye. You'll want to keep away from it.
Jonathan chuckled, uncomfortable.
Sure, it's a little run down, but it's not that bad.
The bartender slid the drinks across the bar, but didn't release them.
It's not the state of the building.
She said quietly.
It's the murders.
Aye. That place claimed another body 6 months ago. Poor Mrs. Whittaker died on the spot.
Sarah stood.
I'm sorry, what did you say? Mrs. Whittaker is my mother.
Excuse me, miss. I didn't mean to offend you. It said she had a massive heart attack and died in that manner.
We thought you knew Dearie.
The bartender said.
Wait, hold on. What murders?
Jonathan asked.
The murders. The butler did.
That's right.
Another voice chimed in.
Police caught him red-handed, dragging a body clear across the room.
Sarah shook her head.
That can't be true. I would have heard about it.
Jonathan frowned.
What happened to the butler?
The bartender finally let go of the glasses.
He was tried, found guilty and hanged.
The pub was very quiet now.
How many?
Sarah asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted the answer. The woman met her gaze.
12.
Jonathan paid £1.90, collected the drinks, and carried them back to the table in silence. Sarah wrapped her hands around the glass of red, but didn't drink. Around them, the pub slowly returned to life, but no one looked their way again. And for the first time since the letter arrived, Sarah felt the weight of Ashbourne Manor pressed down on her like something alive.
We need to talk to Miles tomorrow.
Jonathan just nodded.
Yes, hopefully he'll have some answers.
I have a thought. Let's talk to Mrs. Eaton at the B&B. If the people in the pub know about what happened at the manor, maybe she does also.
They cross the way, enter the B&B. They find Mrs. Eaton in the dining room, wiping down the table.
Mrs. Eaton, can we have a moment of your time?
Of course, dearie. What can I do for you?
We're wondering if you can tell us about the Ashbourne Manor Murders?
Mrs. Eaton stops wiping the table, drops the cloth, looks up at both of them.
Why on earth would you want to know about that God-forsaken place?
Please, can you tell us what you know? Mrs. Whittaker was my mother. They told me she died at the manor.
Mrs. Eaton looks at Jonathan, then looks at Sarah. Nods.
Fine, but I'll only tell you about your mum. Years ago, when your mum inherited the manor, she and your father would come and stay here. They hired a caretaker. I believe his name is Miles.
Yes, we met him and his shotgun.
Mrs. Eaton smiled.
I would not worry about him. His bark is worse than his bite. After your father passed, your mum would come every few years to check on the place. The last time was 6 months ago. Anything else?
Thank you, Mrs. Eaton.
You are very welcome. I'm sorry it wasn't better news.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you have enjoyed this chapter.
Be sure to return next week for Chapter 3, Bad Moon Rising.
Please feel free to leave a comment, thumbs up, and subscribe so you'll never miss a chapter.